Beattie the Bee from Kids Library. Beattie the honeybee was always busy. Every day she flew around the countryside, collecting nectar from all the beautiful flowers. One day, on her way home, Beattie saw a red tulip. She already had lots of nectar, but she decided to make one last stop. She settled on the petals, and as the tulip's sweet perfume wafted over her, she lost her footing. Whoops! She cried as she slipped to the bottom of the flower. Suddenly it got very dark. The tulip, it seems, had fallen asleep and had closed its petals on her. Beattie was worried. "What am I going to do now?" she said. "I'm always getting told off for being late, and if I don't get this nectar back to the hive soon, Queen Bee will be cross with me." "Buzz, buzz, buzz," Beattie called loudly, trying to wake the tulip. But it didn't hear her. Beattie then decided to tickle it and flapped her wings very fast. At first nothing happened. Then the tulip began to shake, and before you could say, "Atishoo!" the tulip sneezed and Beattie was free. It was dark outside and Beattie didn't know where she was. She flew around aimlessly and came across a bat hanging upside down from a tree. "What are you doing out here all alone?" he asked. "I'm lost," she replied. "Please, Mr. Bat," she asked shyly, "can you tell me how to get home?" The bat looked at Beattie strangely and began to lick his lips. "I'm a very hungry fruit bat," he said, "and I'll only tell you how to get home if you give me all that sweet honey." "That's impossible," Beattie said. "The queen will throw me out of the hive if I give this away." And she flew off. Ahead in the darkness, she saw two small bright lights. Beattie knew that owls were very wise and kind, and she was sure that he would be able to help her. "Please, Mr. Owl," she called, "can you help me get home?" At first, the owl couldn't see who was talking to him. He blinked his eyes a few times until he saw Beattie hovering around his head. "Well, what have we here?" bellowed the owl. "I'm Beattie," replied the honey bee. "I'm lost and I was hoping you could help me get back to my hive." A wicked gleam came into the owl's eye. "I'll only tell you if you could give me your honey," he said. "No way," Beattie said angrily. "Then I'll have to eat you instead," said the owl. Beattie was so cross, she flew towards him and stung him on the tongue. "Take that," she called out as she flew away. As Beattie flew away, she could hear the owl shrieking in pain, but she was so mad, she didn't care. "Serves him right for being so greedy," she said to herself. Then Beattie saw another light. As she drew closer, she realized it was an open window. Beattie peered into the room. A small boy was asleep in bed and a woman was sitting by his side, weeping quietly. Beattie flew into the room and settled on the edge of the bed. "What's wrong with your little boy?" Beattie asked quietly. "Tommy is so thin and ill," she said sadly, "but I can't afford to buy any food." Beattie had an idea. She would give Tommy some of her honey. She knew the queen bee would be very unhappy, but this was so important. It was worth getting told off for. When Tommy's mother heard the plan, she became so happy that Beattie knew she had done the right thing. Without frightening Tommy, Beattie dropped some golden honey into his mouth. As soon as the honey touched his lips, Tommy opened his eyes, smiled weakly, and in a quiet voice said, "Please, could I have a little bit more?" Beattie gave him all the honey she had. Every day, Beattie gathered as much nectar as she could carry. She returned to the house and fed Tommy on honey until he was strong again. Beattie made so much honey that there was plenty left over. Tommy's mother sold it in the market and bought food. Tommy and his mother were so happy. They asked Beattie to stay with them forever. Beattie agreed immediately, and Tommy built a hive in the garden for her. Soon, other bees joined Beattie in her splendid new home, and they set to work making honey. Tommy sold the honey and was never hungry again. Thanks for watching. If you like this story, please like, share, and press the subscribe button.